All right, so Joe Rogan finally did another one of his fight companions, which he hasn't done in over 2 years, I believe. And this is the first time that Bryan Callen and Eddie Bravo have been on the podcast in over 2 years. And it was an interesting episode. There's a lot to talk about here. They discussed Andrew Tate, and Joe gave his opinion on him. And Bryan asked if Joe would ever have him on the podcast. And then also, things just seem kind of awkward between these guys. And a lot of people on Joe's subreddit were pointing out that it just seemed like Joe was annoyed with Bryan. Like, all the top comments for this podcast on their subreddit were talking about how Joe has been being mean to Bryan. Somebody said, Joe absolutely doesn't like Bryan. He can barely tolerate him, and he keeps telling him to shut the F up. And somebody else said, Joe has been pretty mean to Bryan so far. Did I miss something? And people are bringing up how the whole Bobby Lee situation, maybe that's part of it, because obviously Brendan and Bryan, they're using Joe's name to threaten Bobby, and Joe didn't seem too happy about that. And then also people are talking about the allegations that Bryan faced a year or so ago, and maybe Joe's upset with that. Who knows? I think maybe it's just one of those days for Joe where he's just annoyed by Bryan's presence, maybe, because also Brendan Schaub is there, and he kept interrupting every 5 seconds like usual, and he was talking way too much, and Joe didn't really seem that annoyed with him. Even though he was making fun of his whiskey, he just can't stand the name of it. And I think he's brought it up in another podcast too. I think the name of the whiskey is Thick Tiger Whiskey, which is kind of a weird name. And it sounds like the whiskey's good. It sounded like Joe liked it and everybody liked it. But Joe just cannot stand the name, which is funny because that's kind of Brendan's whole brand name. Like, his YouTube channel is Thick Boy. So Joe's like really taking a shot at him. I'm sure this one hurt. And then we also have Eddie getting annoyed with Brendan, which was hilarious because Brendan went on some rant about China. And Eddie's just like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? And Eddie was pretty quiet this podcast. I don't know if Joe told him like take it easy because he didn't want him going in on conspiracy theories, or Eddie just wasn't really that happy to be there, but things were definitely off between these guys. And a lot of people noticed it on Joe's subreddit, and it's crazy, but I think Joe's subreddit is slowly turning into the Fight in the Kids subreddit because most people on there, it seems like they're on there just to hate on Joe. So I'm going to get into everything I just mentioned here, but first I'm going to start with Joe telling Bryan to shut up a few times, because this is pretty funny.
He pulls up, it's like, that is a great looking car.
Hey.
For an American.
Hey. Put your toes on.
Fuck's sake.
Take those off.
Shut the fuck up.
Listen to him.
Listen to him.
Come
so
on.
silly.
Well,
I know you want to promote your goofy flip.
I'm not promoting him. I just got
I can't even call them toe holds.
Feel him under your feet.
Put your toe holds on.
Feel him for you. Feel him under your feet. Come on.
Eddie, see a toe hold, bro? What is the word?
Antioxidant?
No. What is the word?
Catalyst and...
Shut the fuck up. Come on, man. I got it. It's at the tip of my tongue. I don't remember it. God damn it.
All right, well.
Something 04. Well, it allows your cells to absorb...
So there are a few other moments too, but I think Joe took down the podcast from YouTube. I can't find it right now. Maybe he's going to put it back up on Spotify, but I don't know. I just thought there's something weird going on with Joe and Bryan, and I'm not the only person. I mean, a lot of people on his subreddit pointed this out, obviously. Maybe like Joe's just busting on him because they're good friends, because I know they go way back. But to me, it just seemed like Joe was kind of sick of him already. And then also, like I said, we have Joe making fun of the name of Brendan's whiskey brand.
Whiskey's great.
Oh, thanks, brother.
It really is good.
Thank you, sir.
It's so easy
Long
to
time
drink.
coming.
Let's come up with a better name.
How dare you, Joe?
I had people over and I poured them Tiger Thick. I didn't tell them. Every single one of them was like, holy fuck, this is great.
Just maybe not the thick part.
I like it. I like that name.
It's my brand name.
You don't like Tiger Thick? I like it.
Okay. You like the name?
What do you want to call
hair
You
on
want
his
Tiger Trace? What do you want?
No, it doesn't have to be
What do you
Trace.
want?
Doesn't have to be Trace.
What do you want? Jack Thick?
Just something.
Jack
Something
Thick.
What do
that
you want,
doesn't make
Jack
me
Thick?
embarrassed to tell people what it is.
Tiger Thick? How are you embarrassed? What are we talking? What are you?
Hey,
What's
man.
Sebastian say?
Hey, bro.
What's Sebastian say?
Damn, poor Brendan. You know that probably hurts because Joe is like a father figure to him, or like a big brother or something. And it seems like he's always trying to get approval, and Joe just completely rips him apart for this whiskey name. And the dynamic of this podcast is weird because, as you see here, obviously Joe is not afraid to make fun of Brendan and Bryan, and he takes some shots at them. But then the other way around, Brendan and Bryan, it seems like they're trying to get back on Joe's good side, and they keep kissing his ass and agreeing with everything he has to say. Like right here, Bryan starts talking about how he went to see Joe. I think he's recording his new special or something like that. And Bryan's like, oh my God, that was amazing. It inspired me. You are so far above everyone else.
Watched your live performance in Salt
Stand up.
Lake, which I'm glad you made me come to because that was so inspiring. Dude, he's working on a level. I told you this. I called him. this next 1 hour, I put that up against. I was talking to Tripoli about it. I put your next 1 hour up against anything, anytime. I'm so excited about it. But
I've been working on it a long time.
But dude,
like 4 years on this one.
I assume this, though.
Bro,
It's been
4 years since your last special.
Yeah,
were you high?
what?
Did you smoke a little weed before you went on?
Always.
I don't know how the fuck you can be that intense, that on point.
Shut the fuck up. Come on, man.
I'm sure that's what Joe was thinking. Like, he'd even say thanks or anything like that. He's just like, yeah, I've been working hard. It's been 4 years. And it's funny because Eddie seemed like the most down-to-earth person on this podcast. Like, he just seemed really chill. He, like, wasn't talking too much until Brendan started talking about China. This part's pretty funny. The look on Eddie's face is priceless. He's like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Ahead of the curve, you had your boy Mike Baker on.
Yeah.
I just regurgitate his shit. I think he's the best person ever. Yeah. But he's like, dude, China's way ahead of us as far as this going green. As far as electric cars, the lithium batteries, like it's not good.
China's
man.
awesome. Oh yeah, let's follow their
They're smart as shit.
lead.
Let's depend more on China.
What?
You know what you're doing when you buy Tesla? You're communist.
No, my friend Elon Musk is
and again, I love
and I support him.
No,
I
but
buy his
you
car.
might be
I love
right.
Elon,
I think you're
but it's only
resistance.
supporting China. Like they're the
Yeah, so I just thought that shit was hilarious. All right, so now let's just get into the Andrew Tate stuff because Joe Rogan actually says that he likes Andrew Tate.
To pull your fucking. They warned me.
somebody likes you there because at least you're not Andrew Tate. Like they sees his assets. They sees his financial
because
banking.
he was saying things about women that he was saying that like, what did he say that specifically got them triggered? Because
Well,
it was basically
a lot of
saying massage. Look, he plays. Part of it is like a character, and part of it he's a legit world champion kickboxer who's a hard man.
So I was telling these guys.
Who doesn't buy any pussy bullshit, and that's what's resonating with young people.
And he's also pro-Trump.
The worry is that he is going to. The kids are going to listen to him because he's big on TikTok. My 12-year-old and my 14-year-old asked me about Andrew Tate.
And
My
what'd you say?
14-year-old
What'd you
asked
say?
me. I said he's a legit world champion kickboxer. I go, I like him a lot. Why do you like him? And I was asking him. And they said he says a lot of funny stuff on Twitter and TikTok. It's the TikTok thing because the TikTok algorithm. He did something where he started something where you like join his group,
Yes.
and then you're supposed to like post stuff.
It's brilliant. That's how he gets followers, but also
blew
gives
up.
you a page.
He blew up.
Yes,
he blew up because
he's
of
a brilliant
fucking
man.
smart. Yeah.
My thing is with the left who wants to cancel him and take him away, and they're like, we shouldn't look up to that. Okay, then who should we look up to?
Joe Biden.
Who do you want to fill in for that?
But also, it's not their job to do.
I love how Eddie responds with Joe Biden when Brendan asks who we should look up to. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how people handle this because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be upset. The fact that Joe says he likes Andrew Tate. And also a lot of people on his subreddit were kind of upset by this. Like people, they figured this was Joe's opinion, but they were just hoping he had a little nuance to it. But I thought some of the responses were pretty funny. This person said, oh my God, they're defending Andrew Tate now. Good Lord. Somebody responded with, bro, he's an alpha male, legit world champion kickboxer, hasn't fought anybody with a Wikipedia page, so they're throwing some shade at him. Who doesn't take any beta bullshit? LMAO, Joe is so gay for any pseudo alpha male character. And then somebody commented on that, fatherless behavior. So this is like fighting the kids subreddit kind of stuff. Like they are really taking shots at Joe. Another comment says, damn, never knew Joe Rogan was an Andrew Tate fan. And someone's like, is incel manosphere shit and conservatives have a pretty obvious crossover. Another person said, Joe is a contrarian. It's not about reality anymore. It's only about what other people say they like or don't like. So also on this podcast, they brought Andrew Tate up one other time. And like I said, Brian asked Joe if you'd ever have him on the podcast.
Be an Andrew Tate fan. He's wild.
Would you ever have
kids.
Tate on your podcast?
It's a conversation, right?
You know
Especially now.
You know who gave him, like, literally who brought him on the scene? I knew him from kickboxing and was aware of him for years, but really who put him on the scene is Tom Segura.
Really?
They don't give Tom enough credit. Not that he needs any more credit. He's fucking crushing it, but Tom really put him on the scene with, our crew. Like, Tom's the first one brought him on.
Tom, yeah, I'm on your mom's
Yeah,
house like
Tom-
a year ago.
I just thought he
almost
was
longer,
funny.
yeah.
I thought some of the stuff he was saying on his TikTok stuff or whatever it
But
was.
the best is Christina P's there, and she's like, so if I'm a dumb bitch. Because you know how he
hilarious.
talks, and she's
Yeah.
like, okay, so I'm a dumb bitch. It's so funny, dude.
But he did get kind of canceled for
Well,
just
I
talking.
think he's on Rumble now.
Yeah, he's okay.
They took him over to Rumble, which is, but it severely limits the amount of stuff you can have out there. Is he banned from YouTube? I don't
Yes.
believe.
Yes.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yes.
YouTube too. Wow.
Yep, and they seized his assets. So
They seize his assets.
No, they didn't
Wait,
seize
wait,
his assets.
wait,
They
wait.
canceled his. So if you listen to him on Tucker Carlson, his ability to his domain name
Monetize.
and his ability to
They
monetize
took it away.
and his ability to do transactions with certain platforms.
he had a whole school,
is
like
gone.
the man school.
Yeah.
They took it
so
all
I
away.
think I don't know if it was PayPal, but something like that. Whatever he was doing transactions,
They seized
that
it.
he's no longer allowed to use.
Man, I got to give Bryan credit for hanging out with Brendan so much. I don't know how he deals with him interrupting like every second. Like Brendan just said something that I think is incorrect, like the seized assets thing, and Bryan's explaining to him like what actually happened, and Brendan is still interrupting him like every second. It's like, dude, you just got that wrong. Let him explain what's correct, and then you could talk. Like, you don't need to shout something out every 5 seconds. But it does sound like it's a possibility that Andrew Tate goes on the Joe Rogan Experience, which people would have a fucking meltdown over. And I think that's one of the reasons Joe would want to have him on. Like that comment said, Joe is a contrarian. I think he likes to trigger people a little bit. I think the fact that everyone has a meltdown whenever he has on a guest they don't like, I think that makes him want to do it even more, which I kind of understand. But also at the same time, I don't think this is the best take on Andrew Tate, and I don't want to get into it too much because I know whatever I say is going to trigger somebody because this man is just so controversial and so divisive. But I just thought Joe's take on him was pretty weird. Like, he said his daughter brought him up, like his 14-year-old daughter saw him on TikTok. She's like, oh, what do you think of Andrew Tate? He's like, oh, he's a great kickboxer. I really like him. Like, that's kind of a weird response. Like, in my opinion, I don't think Andrew Tate should be banned from platforms, but I also don't think he's the best influence on people. He probably could be a good influence in certain ways if people don't take him too seriously, but if people are listening to everything he has to say and taking it seriously at face value, I don't think that's a good idea, and I don't think it's really going to help that many people. And I think for the most part, it would probably just hurt them. And obviously, I don't think Andrew is in this to help anybody. I think he's in this to get some fame and make a lot of money. And he just takes advantage of lonely, desperate men. I mean, that's what he did with his cam business and his OnlyFans management agency, which I think his brother ran. Like, obviously in that business, you're just taking advantage of desperate men. So it's not that hard to believe that he'd do it in other ways with like Hustlers University and just his whole social media presence. I mean, the guy knows what he's doing. He knows there's a huge market out there for some guy to show lonely, desperate men the way. And he's trying to capitalize on that. Like, I remember he went on this whole speech about how most men are invisible and girls pay no attention to them and they're lonely and it's just like sad. But those are the people he makes his money from, with the OnlyFans and the cam girl stuff and even Hustlers University. At least with the Hustlers University, you could say maybe there's some kind of value people could get from that. I mean, I doubt it, but at least he's giving something in return. Like the OnlyFans and cam model thing, he is just taking advantage of these lonely, desperate people that he claims he feels bad for. So also with Andrew Tate being banned, I like how the people that hate him will still constantly talk about him. Like Ethan Klein and Hassan, they obviously wanted to see him banned. They do not like him, but Ethan, he will never shut up about him. He still talks about him like every second. Every podcast he's in the thumbnail, he talks about him for like 30 minutes, and now he's gonna talk about him even more because he's threatening to sue him. It's like, dude, he's gone. Like, why don't you just shut up about him now? Like, his fans don't even like him talking about him, but he's just obsessed. It just doesn't really feel like they actually want him to be banned. Because what if they said, all right, let's ban him from even being mentioned. You can't even talk about Andrew Tate anymore. Ethan Klein would probably be disappointed. Well, for sure. Like, he loves talking about him. That's like most of his content. So he would be in trouble. Alright, so that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about all this, and then hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you at the next video.